All right, you will be recused. Are there any files to be closed, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer?
You, Mr. Chair, no. Not today.
Are there any applicants here who wish to withdraw their application? Okay, I'm now going to vet the list. Number 1, 28 Winners Circle applicant. Yes. Any opposition? Okay. Number 2, 82 Woodrow Avenue applicant. Okay, we'll come back to that. Number 3, 41 Fern Avenue applicant. Yes, any opposition? Okay, we'll proceed. Number 4, 16 York Street applicant. Yes, any opposition? Okay, number 5, 82 Glenwood Crescent applicant. Any opposition? Number 6, 100 Hilton Avenue. Any opposition? Yes, okay, we're going to hold that down. Perhaps you could go outside and discuss the matter. Number 7, 82 Chaplain Crescent. Applicant, yes. Any opposition? Okay, number 8, 260 Indian Grove. Applicant, yes. Any opposition? Okay, number 9, 174 Margarita Street. Yes, any opposition? Okay, number 10, 125 Humberside Avenue. Yes, any opposition? Number 11, 90 Manning Avenue. Yes, any opposition? No. Number 12, 148 Gled Hill Avenue. Yeah. Applicant, any opposition? No. Number 13, 159 Woodville Avenue. Yes, any opposition? Number 14, 38 Greensides Avenue. Applicant? Yes. Opposition? No. Number 15, 86 Chiltern Hill Road. Applicant? Yes. Any opposition? No. No. Okay, number 16, 17 Ellsworth Avenue. Yes. Any opposition? Number 17, 18 Lutey Avenue. Yeah. Yes, any opposition? Number 18, 408 Roxton Road. Yes. Any opposition? No. 19, 163 Fern Avenue. Yes, any opposition? Number 20, 40 Foxley Street. Any opposition? Number 21, 304 Foreman Avenue. Yes, any opposition? Number 22, 48 Hoyle Avenue. Yes, any opposition? 23, 254 Beatrice Street. Applicant? Yeah, okay, any opposition? And number 24, 290 Delaware Avenue. Applicant? Yes, any opposition? Okay, we'll hold that one so you can meet outside. I just want to go back to number 2, 82 Woodrow. Is the applicant here? Okay. So we will get started with number 1, 28 Winners Circle. So the purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by constructing an exterior staircase on the rear third-story terrace, accessing a new rooftop deck with landscaping elements. We have before us the material submitted by the applicant and opposition from 31 Northern Dancer Boulevard. Your name, sir?
Mario Silva. I'm the agent for 28 Winners Circle. Just like to begin with, I have a letter of support from the immediate neighbor.
Yes. Could you bring it up? Could you speak into the microphone? I'm having difficulty hearing you. Okay, so this is a support from 26 Winners Circle. Carl. Sir, could you just tell me, for clarification at the outset, what floor is this rooftop deck on?
This is on the third floor,
Third floor, okay.
and we have some landscaping elements with a terrace in the center.
What is the existing height of the building?
The existing height is slightly less than 10 meters, but we are having it 10.72, and that has to do with the railing that's proposed around the...
I'm having trouble hearing you. Could you just bring it in a bit?
So basically, we need a railing around the rooftop, and that increases our height to 10.72.
So otherwise, it's the existing height?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
Can you tell me if the balcony on the second floor, the proposed stair connects the roof terrace to a second floor balcony?
Yes.
Did that balcony exists?
Exists, yes.
And it has just a railing, there isn't a screening or anything?
It's just a railing, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? We have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, unless anyone else has any questions, I think this is a fairly minor application. It appears to be appropriate development for the area, and I'm pleased to move approval subject to, in that it conforms to the 4 tests for variance.
I'll second the motion.
All right, all in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, number 2, 82 Woodrow Avenue. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Okay, just 1 second. Is there any opposition on 82 Woodrow Avenue? Item number 2. Okay, come forward, sir. The purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2-story detached dwelling by reconstructing and expanding the rear 1-story addition with a second-floor deck above. We have before us in this application material submitted by the applicant, 2 letters in support.
Yes, that is correct. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Evan Torrens of TEY Inc., representing the owners of 82 Woodrow Avenue. As you've described, they are wishing to alter an existing 1-story rear addition by building it approximately 4 feet deeper into the backyard. All of the neighbors have been contacted and consulted with, and I have 2 letters of support here. I'd like to just quickly chat about two issues. The first being the variance for the deck. So I'm going to... Sorry. An image taken from Google a few years ago. This is an existing unlawful bird's nest deck, which was built over the 1-story addition. This has quite recently been removed because it had rotted away completely and was posing a danger to the inhabitants. The issue with this deck is that it created a space underneath the addition and the deck, which was a favorable home for many raccoons. So this has been taken down, and what we are proposing is the deck be part of the roof of the new proposed 1-story addition. This is a corner lot, so the only neighbor it would face would be to the west, and they have no issues with rebuilding the deck within the similar footprint. And then
I just want to be clear. Oh, that's one deck. And where I sat, it looked like 2 decks.
yeah, it's slightly confusing because of the angle. That's a shed, an existing shed, and then the deck is in the background. It's the brown cedar deck, which is...
Could you put the site plan on the overhead? The drawings we have are not legible. We can't read them.
So this line indicates, the dash line indicates the existing line of the rear 1-story addition. And then the dark proposed new length, and that deck would exist set back from this line and this line, but would essentially exist on the roof of the first story addition.
Okay.
As you can see, it's a distance from the neighbor who's set back quite a ways. Thanks.
Any further questions? No. We have a motion?
I've reviewed the application, and your presentation was helpful in terms of situating where the deck is and the fact that it's a corner lot, and there's, in my view, likely no privacy impact. So I'd like to bring a motion forward for approval of the application.
Seconder?
No, I'll second that.
All in favor?
I don't know who seconded.
Michael and Carl. Was a tie. You have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Number 3, 41 Fern Avenue. Purpose of this application is to alter a semi-detached dwelling by constructing a third-floor addition. We have before us material submitted by the applicant and a staff report from planning. Do we have any, are you Mr. Newdorf?
I'm Mr. Newdorf, yes.
Okay. So do we have any questions of Mr. Newdorf?
Yes,
It's pretty straightforward.
Mr. Newdorf, it looks like you were at committee in 2013 for a one-story addition, which you were going to go to 90.9 GFA. And it looks like now you're doing a third-floor addition and also at 0.9. So did that one-story addition never take place?
It didn't build out to the full 9, yeah.
Understandable then.
Yeah.
Okay, having said that, I'll make a motion to move approval of the application with subject to the condition that the third-floor plan, you're aware of the staff condition.
Yes, I am, yeah.
Is to be built substantially in accordance with the third-floor plan submitted to the committee adjustment on November 27, 2017.
Great.
We have a seconder.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 4, 16 York Street. Purpose of this application is to alter the redevelopment plan for a 32-story commercial office building approved under site-specific bylaw 494/2009 by reducing the amount of street-related retail uses and reducing the total width of commercial space fronting on Bremner Boulevard. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant. Ms. Kovar?
Morning, Mr. Chairman. I'm here on behalf of the owner of this site. This is part of a larger development block. There were 3 towers approved back in 2009. The first 2 were residential towers, and they're now constructed. It's the ICE condominium project, for those of you that can picture it. So this is the block bounded by Lakeshore on the south and the on-ramp going up to the Gardner, York on the east, and Bremner on the north. And then there's a little street called Grand Trunk that runs down the west side. So the northern end of that large block was the future office component, and that's what we're here on today. Cadillac Fairview is the owner of the northern block, and they're under construction now with the third and final phase. I'm just going to approach because I have a handout. I think it's probably the easiest way of describing the nature of the change that Cadillac is proposing to make to the layout of the retail space in the ground floor lobby. Maybe I'll just stand here if that's okay. So at the initial approval stage, the shape of the proposed retail units, and there are 2 of them on the ground floor of the lobby. So this is York, and this is Bremner, Grand Trunk, and Lakeshore is down the bottom. So the 2 residential condos is here. So it was sort of a round, curving thing that was contemplated at the time. It's the orange and the yellow was the original retail layout. And the same thing up in the other corner up here. The orange and the yellow combined. That was the shape of the original retail layout. It's not a conventional shape. It was what the architects were thinking of back in 2011. They're now, as I say, under construction. Cadillac Fairview has a great deal of experience with both office and retail development. They know what works. They want a more conventional shape. And what they also have proposed is slightly increasing the amount of retail space. all within what's permitted by the bylaw, it's not a variance. But they're going to have a larger rectilinear retail store here and here, and they're actually proposed for restaurants. They're getting away from this urban wall business.
Right.
So my variance is this little yellow strip up here. I'm reducing the frontage along York Street by that much, which is 2 meters. And on this side, I'm reducing my frontage on Bremner by this much, which is 3 meters.
What about those two little insets?
Well, that's where it gets bigger. Oh, the two
No,
little
yeah, at the
insets?
top,
Oh,
yeah.
those are just, I don't know, decorative elements. That's not part of the variance. That doesn't, I don't need a
Okay,
variance for that.
because they're the same color as the variance you're asking for.
Yeah, no, the yellow wasn't so much showing the variance, but it was showing what we're proposing
Eliminate.
to eliminate. And this piece of it is 2 meters wide, that's one part of the variance. This piece is 3 meters wide, that's the other part of the variance. That's the only variance that we need. Yes, all of this is lobby. And the other part of the application, as I indicated in my covering letter, Cadillac is proposing to provide, in the elevator lobby area, a secure elevator kiosk in this area here. So you can't actually walk into the elevator bank without going through a security system. They need to set up a security system in this area in front of the bank. And that was part of the reason why they wanted to pull this back, so they have room for the security system for this elevator bank.
What's a security system? How does that work?
It's a turnstile. You have to get through a security guard, you get a pass, and then you can enter a turnstile to get into the elevator bank, so nobody can get up onto the
Good.
floors accessed by these banks without going through a separate
A
security.
desk for the security
That's
guard.
exactly right. And so the desk needs to be lined up in front of the entrance to this core of 6 elevators. So it goes here. So the previous restaurant was pushing out into that area, so they've changed the shape.
So in effect, the animated street frontage is all of Bremner and all of York with the exception of this stairway. Is that right? That's retail off,
Lobby, that's
lobby
right.
Retail.
That's
So the
right.
entire frontage is.
Yes, it's all open. There's no back of house proposed anywhere along a public street. And I was surprised to Monday afternoon get a letter from the planning department saying that they were recommending the application be refused. I just fail to understand.
We don't have that letter.
Well, there we go.
I
We
got
don't
a
have
copy of
that.
it, and they're recommending it be refused, and I am at a loss to understand.
So I'd like to see that.
This was, first off,
Do you have a copy?
I do, I have my copy here, I can just read you the first
Yeah,
paragraph under
please.
the comments
Because we don't have it.
section.
Yeah, we
The purpose
didn't.
of the mixed, it was received by the committee.
Yeah, you should probably need to go back
You
to
should
the
go back
podium.
there because you won't be picked up on camera.
I'm so sorry.
Otherwise.
It doesn't come out on YouTube, so for all our fans. That
Well, I want my 15 minutes, for sure. So it arrived at 2:05 on April 23rd. I can quickly read you because I was going to go to this because
Please,
either the planner, it comes from an assistant planner named Milan Kukic, and he has either misunderstood the application or he's misread the official plan. It says, "The purpose of the mixed-use area's land use designation is to encourage Torontonians to live, work, and shop in the same area. Official Plan Policy 3534 specifically speaks to animating street frontages with retail-oriented uses and activities." And certainly, I have no problem agreeing that in general terms, one of the purposes of the official plan is to animate street frontages. I fail to see how this change.
That was the reason for my question. You have animated street.
But, well, this is the thing, and more to the point, I pulled up this official plan policy, this 3534, that he's referring to, and I'm going to hand it to you because it actually says the opposite of what the planner is indicating. It's on the last page of the handout. You go to number 4 on the last page. And what it says is, in order to provide local opportunities for small businesses and maintain the safety, comfort, and amenity of shopping areas,
zoning regulations for ground floor commercial retail uses in new buildings, in new neighborhoods, or in mixed-use areas along pedestrian shopping strips where most storefronts are located at the street line may provide for a maximum store or commercial unit size. This is a policy which is aimed at preventing big box retailers moving into our traditional Main Street, you know, Queen Street West, Bloor West Village, those sorts of Main Street retail communities. And they don't want larger retail stores moving in, so this provides for maximums. The variance we're seeking isn't to I mean, it has absolutely nothing to do with this policy, and the planner, I believe, has just simply misunderstood the policy. He also refers to the fact that this site-specific bylaw had been through an extensive community process. He was not part of that process. I can tell you I was. The issue of street-related retail uses was not an issue at the time for the community. The staff report, which I have with me, runs through the 16 issues which were raised by the community and how each of those 16 issues were resolved. Street-related retail uses and animating the street frontage was not one of the neighborhood issues at the time. So, as I say, I'm at a loss to understand the issue raised in the Planning Department memo, and I think just based on this colored exhibit, it's pretty easy to see that there is no impact on the purpose and intent of the bylaw.
Mr. Chairman, the planning report says that the planning staff note that the site received Committee of Adjustment approval in 2011. The current proposal seeks to further reduce the street-related retail and service uses along the entire building face to 33% and 21% for the portion along Gremley Boulevard. The current proposal, if approved, would further erode the street-related retail and services present along the building face. I don't think that's the case, which is why I asked the question. I think it's a fine line between a retail space and a lobby space. I've never been in a lobby that didn't in fact contribute to the street use. Its activity, as we heard, people have to come in and get some kind of a pass to go into the elevator lobby. I don't understand any of it. This is Ms. Cover's
yeah. So I'm satisfied. I think so much. And thanks for bringing that to our attention. We didn't even see it. So there's no further questions. Yeah. I'm prepared to move approval of this application as being truly minor.
And I'd second the motion. I think this is minor and appropriate, especially considering the scale of development.
And having regard to the fact that the reduction on Bremner is for purposes of security for the residents of the building, I think it's appropriate. All in favor?
Thank you.
You have your approval. Thank you.
Points for honesty on that one.
Yeah. Number 5, 82 Glenwood Crescent. Purpose of this application is to construct a new driveway for the existing detached dwelling with access from Glenwood Crescent. We have before us material submitted by the applicant, correspondence from forestry, reports from Conservation Authority, engineering and transportation, and opposition from 770 O'Connor Drive. Your name, sir?
Eric Wong, the owner of the property.
Yeah. So could you tell us why you want to construct this new driveway?
Oh, because like my existing driveway is like onto O'Connor Drive, which is very busy during like business hours, and I have difficulty, moving onto the traffic, especially in winter time.
Are you aware that engineering and transportation both say that you have to tear up your existing driveway and fill in the curb cut so that you only have one driveway?
Yeah.
And so you're content with that?
Yeah, $10,000, I was told.
No, $10,000 to tear up, to tear up what's there and
to
fill in the curb cut.
To do a curb cut on the new driveway and then like fill up the existing one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're prepared to honor that condition?
Yeah, even my...
We're going to make it a condition. If we approve your application, we're going to make that a condition.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any further questions? Do we have a motion?
conditions for the reverse slope driveway?
Anybody have questions? No. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move approval of the application to allow for the access, the new access, subject to the conditions from development engineering relative to the drainage. There's 3 conditions, and subject to condition 1 from the planning department that variance 1, the driveway from O'Connor Drive should be restored to soft landscaping, and the curb be restored to a full-face curb at the owner's expense.
Seconder?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 6 is held. Go to number 7, 82 Chaplain Crescent.
Is that held as well?
No?
No? Oh, for some reason I wrote that was held.
No. The purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by converting the attached garage into living space, constructing a 2-story addition above the converted garage, and establishing a parking space in the front yard. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant, a report from Transportation Support, 8 form letters in support, and opposition from 94 Chaplain Crescent, 100 Chaplain Crescent, 122 and 123 Imperial Street. Yes, and your name?
Good morning. My name is Brenda Eisen, and I'm the architect for 82 Chaplain Crescent.
Yes.
As you can see from the photo, this is an existing 3-story house with an attached 1-car garage to the west. Currently, the garage is too small to fit a modern-day car. This application proposes to replace the existing footprint of the garage with 2 stories of living space, effectively filling in that area to the west of the house. For this, we're seeking 10 variances to the bylaws, all of which are doubled up, so effectively just 5. Before I go through them, I'd like to point out that this house, built in 1924, is one of the many beautiful homes that I feel defines the character of the neighborhood. We are not proposing an increase to any of the setbacks, any of the existing setbacks, or to the existing height, just to reclaim the garage area and add some living space above to accommodate the needs of the homeowners. The first variance under the new bylaw, which is the second under the old, is the height variance. The existing house is legally non-conforming and is actually higher than what we're proposing for the addition. Currently, the house is at 11.4 meters, and we're seeking 10.02 for the addition. For the second variance under the new, which is the first variance under the old bylaw, we are seeking 0.82 for the floor space index, which I feel is consistent with the character of the neighborhood, and we have several examples of this. The third variance under both front yard setback is an existing condition, which we are not changing. The fourth variance under both is in regards to the west side yard setback, which is currently a 0 setback. There is an existing 1-story wall, as you saw in the photo, of the garage, and we're planning to build above this space, so to keep the existing condition of the 0 side yard setback. Sure, I will answer that in 1 second. I believe it's I'll just wait till I find it. I believe it's 0.69. I'll find it for you in 1 second, but I'm pretty sure it's 0.69. And then I just switched it to the site plan just to discuss the last variance, which is the parking. So as I mentioned earlier, the garage does not fit a car. And so ever since the homeowners bought this home several years ago, they've been parking in front of their house on their existing driveway. And they would like to legalize this condition to continue to park where they park in front of their home and not to change the front yard landscaping.
They'd like to continue the 2 curb cuts?
They would like to continue the 2 curb cuts. I'm aware of the report from transportation, and we've spoken with them extensively. Chaplin is an extremely busy street. It's a through street, and especially with the construction on Eglinton. It's, as it stands, for them to come out facing forwards from their driveway, they have to wait for several minutes for a space in the traffic, and they feel that, you know, one of the attractions to them when they purchased this home was the U-shaped driveway so that they don't have to back out, stop traffic in both directions, and take a risk every time, and the homeowners don't feel comfortable backing out into that amount of traffic.
Mr. Altschuler drive?
No, but his wife does.
Now, one thing I don't understand is variance number 1 under the new bylaw, and I guess it's, if the existing height of the building is 11.4, why are we only going to, why are we asked to approve only 10.02?
Because we're not changing the construction. I think we only need the variance for the portion that we're constructing. It's already legally non-conforming. We're not touching any of that part.
You're still at 11.4.
The existing home is at 11.4.
Yeah, so it still triggers a variance. When they take a picture, take a snapshot, even if it's legal non-conforming, it was back in 1924, it still shows up as a variance. You just said you're bringing it down, but what you're saying is the new addition is only going to be at
10.02.
10.02, but really
Yes.
your house is at 11.4. Did you have a zoning review done?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, my understanding is, as Mr. Clark says, 11.4 meters is what we have to approve. No?
But just like the front yard setback is existing condition, isn't that also an existing condition?
We're building the new construction to the front yard setback.
We
The
understand.
new part you're building
what
above
you're
the
doing.
garage
It's-
is one thing, but the existing house, when they still make an application to committee, the existing condition, just like your variance number 3 and your existing west side setback on the 1-story portion. So it's very
Yes.
interesting you tell us that the existing house is at 11.4.
My understanding was if the new construction was set back further from the street from the existing house, but did not conform, the setback variance would only be to that number. It doesn't involve the existing condition that we're not touching, only the new construction.
Sounds what? Sounds right? Yeah, sounds odd. I don't think we've seen that before. Usually, if there's an existing condition that doesn't conform, even if it's legal we have to approve it at that height. Otherwise, I'm afraid they might come in and say, tear down the existing house above 10.02 meters.
Zoning review.
Yeah, well, but they make mistakes. But don't we have to?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the zoning review actually says the proposed height of the building is 10.02 meters. So that's the proposed where exactly is that portion?
It's right there.
Over the
by
garage. Yeah.
That little rectangular portion.
Right. So it's the addition over the garage, only the portion, the addition over the garage. You could specifically say
Well,
that if you want.
If we're otherwise so inclined to approve it, we can do it, and hopefully you won't run into issues.
We
But
can
for that
be
issue.
Very specific that you know, it applies to the new portion.
So when you showed us the picture of the front elevation, the portion that's going to be built over the garage is going to be lower than otherwise the rest of the house.
Correct.
At 10.2 and not at 11.4.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I guess to make it, because we can't change it to 11.4 because we haven't circulated that notice, so we can't do that. But perhaps if we change the wording of the variance, then hopefully you won't run into problems. Assuming that otherwise the committee feels that these variances in total are appropriate.
Mr. Clark, I think with the same thinking, we need to change the wording of variance number 4, because as I read that, it means that any addition would be at a 0 setback from the west property line. And there's a lot of property there that you could still expand it with a 0 setback. It's only the portion of the garage and the addition above.
Well, then they'd be offside the floor space index and would have to come back or be offside on that if they sought to do additional, or the other way of doing it is we often do is tie it to the plan.
Yeah.
Of getting around that issue.
The plan. Which is A1.0, which shows that the setback is for just that garage and the portion above. Except that the elevations don't indicate a height.
Ms. Eisen, you were going to confirm whether the existing
4.1?
floor space index is 0.69 or more.
Yes.
No?
0.694.
Okay. All right. Any further questions? Do we have a motion? Well, it's tricky. Well, I don't know. Tricky.
Ms. Eisen, could you put the front elevation back up on the overhead, please? Just want to look at the issue of the circular driveway and the exit. Because, yes, Chaplin is pretty busy.
Chaplin's very busy. And we have a compromise applicant.
That one's got elevation.
No, I meant the drawing, I meant the photo.
The photograph.
Oh, the photo.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
So transportation wants one curb cut. And we don't have a deficiency for front yard landscaping, do we?
I think the larger issue is the man's handicapped, and it's hard for them to do.
Well, the other issue is the Chaplin Crescent is a very busy street. I assume that even if Mr. Altschuler wasn't as compromised cognitively and physically, he and his wife are not young anymore.
Correct.
All right, so that
And they're only going to get older.
And there are examples on Chaplin of similar driveways?
Yes, there are similar driveways. There's actually one directly across the street of another circular driveway, and there are several others.
Okay.
And that was existing when they bought the house?
Correct.
Okay. Any further questions, or do we have a motion?
I think I'm prepared to weigh in on a motion on this. Thank you for your presentation, Ms. Eisen. Subject to the wording of changing the wording of the height to the height of the extension being at 10.02, the altered dwelling, yeah. Okay.
Do we want to start changing the zoning review?
Well, you're reflecting the zoning review, right? Okay.
You said height of the altered portion. of the building?
Dwelling, yeah, and I would tie it to the plans. Which elevation, Mr. Nipfeld, are we talking about? A point?
That was the site plan for the setback, but there's also an elevation, A 4.1, that has dimensions on it. That's perhaps the one you wish to refer.
Thank you.
South elevation.
Okay, to be built substantially in accordance with that elevation. South elevation dated 8.4.1.
A4.
Yes. And I would not include, I believe that the curb cut, the double curb cut, I think there's no parking there in any event, and it's busy, and I think it's existing when they purchased it. It's been there a long time. There's other examples, including across the street, so I would not include that condition of closing up the curb cut and restoring it to landscape space. And that's my motion.
Seconder.
Would you accept a friendly amendment to also include substantial in accordance with A 1.0, which clarifies that side yard setback?
Yes, sir. So it's both plans. It's fine.
I would second the motion.
All in favor? Have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Number 8, 260 Indian Grove. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing 1.5-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear ground floor addition, a complete second-story addition, and a rear detached garage. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant, a staff report from Forestry, and support from 283 Indian Grove. Your name, please?
Good morning. I'm Antonella Wild, the agent and the designer of the home.
Fellow committee members, unless you have questions about this application, well reviewed in detail, I'd be ready to make a motion on this.
No questions. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'd like to put forward a motion to approve this application. The variances are of an extremely minor nature and fit and appropriate for the neighborhood, and in my opinion, we should approve the application. Subject to urban forestry condition number 1.
Seconder? Mr. Nipfeld, all in favor? You have your approval.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 9, 174 Margarita Street. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2-story, 2-dwelling unit townhouse by converting the existing 3rd-floor attic into habitable space. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant, report from planning, support, form letters in support from 136, 149, 157, 167, 170, 173, 176, 178, 183, 188, 190, and 198 Margarita, and 291 and 297 St. Clarence. And we have opposition or concern from 171 and 172. And we have a planning, we have a planning report. Your name, sir?
Hi, my name is Joe Dome. I'm the agent for the applicant.
Right.
So, as you know, they would like to build a 3rd story to turn the attic into habitable space for their family. They have 2 young children, and they're also thinking about expanding that family as well. So they would need some extra habitable space, along with extra space for a family that doesn't live close by to stay over. And essentially, regarding the staff report comments about the rear of the 3rd story not being stepped back, it's a choice basically between affecting the front of the house, the roof line. The roof line right now is trying to be as modified as little as possible. It is being modified, but essentially, they need the space in the rear as well to go all the way back. And as far as their comments that typically, the majority of houses on that street are step back is not exactly accurate. If I could point your attention to 136 Margaretta. So 136 Margaretta Street, just 12 houses down on the same side of the street. Clearly also has a third story that is not step back in the rear. So that's a perfect example. As far as altering the front, which the direct neighbor does have some issues with, the roof line of the front being different. There's no set character really of the streetscape. I can put up a number of examples here where there's just a great mix of different styles. Okay, and so as you can see, the overall character of the street, they tried to maintain as much as they could the view from the street, and in the rear, of course, really the question was, do you go as far back to the edge or to the front? And they tried to compromise as much to affect it as little as possible. The height of the roof itself is only about 1.5 feet taller than existing.
Could you put the drawing A307 on the overhead? Yes. We want to clarify that we've got your proposal correct. Mm-hmm. I have it here if you want to use this one.
Sir? Oh, yes.
I want to talk about that part up there, okay? Other way around. Can I clarify that we've got this correct? This is the line of the two neighboring houses.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What you're proposing to do is you're adding that much and this much, so that basically instead of that slope, you've got this slope, but it's still sloped, and a projecting dormer. The dormer's already there.
Yes.
The change is from that to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an existing dormer.
In a very small addition at the top.
Yes, that's correct, yes.
But in the part at the back is an addition as well?
Yes.
That rectangular piece at the back?
This portion here is an addition.
Yeah. So how many?
Yes. Oh, well, I mean, sorry, as far as from the third story, so nothing else is being changed in terms of the first two stories. And the overall footprint of the house, aside from the third story, is the third story is the only change to the actual dimensions. Yes. That's correct, yes.
How many meters is that last part, the last rectangular?
The last rectangle after?
Yeah, after the slope. Because that's the one they want you to reduce by 3 meters, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so I want to know how much it is and how much floor space index you're going to lose as a result of reducing that? How effective would your renovation be or your addition without those 3 meters?
It would reduce the livability quite drastically. As far as the study and the bedroom being in the rear, it would definitely impact it, as well as there being a bathroom in the middle. The size of the bathrooms and the amount of the bathrooms in the house are not sufficient, even currently. And I can put up here the third story drawings here, 1 second.
So you would have to revise your entire all your plans.
Yeah.
Get a master bedroom in there.
You couldn't?
No, it would cut the master bedroom in half.
Yeah. And I mean, we definitely considered, when the staff report came out, definitely considered all possible options, and it really wasn't possible to maintain the use of the intended use of the addition.
But the other thing is, I don't quite understand where they say the proposed third story has a depth of 14 meters, but here, in number 4 variance under the new bylaw says the altered townhouse will have a depth of 17.65.
I think that's including a deck in the rear, covered.
So the third story itself is 14 meters.
Yeah, and it's essentially, the depth is not being changed at all. The first 2 stories are 14 meters, and it would just continue.
So is that number 136 the only example on the street of a full third story?
I believe there are a few other ones, but this is the only visual example that I brought with.
So how does that, so did the neighbor at 172 complain about the third floor going back all the way?
So actually, their concerns were not about the rear at all.
Yeah, their concerns about the front.
Yeah, so they had some issues from a visual standpoint with the front, but their concerns, essentially the staff report was only talking about stepped back in the rear, and the neighbor was only concerned about the impact from the front, and they don't have an issue with the rear. But as well, we have 16, as you read out, we have 16 letters of support from neighbors.
Mr. Jones, do you know what the existing floor space index, you're seeking to go with permitted 0.6 to 0.96, but I assume you're already over?
Let's see. Yes, it's actually, I believe it's over by a few meters. Just see here. The existing gross floor area is 112.14 square meters.
So over the 105.67 permitted?
Yes.
But it still is a bit of an increase.
So as you say, the houses on Marguerite are quite different. They're not uniform.
Yes. No, not at all.
So the planning is saying they don't step back more than 11 meters, generally.
Yeah, they don't, I believe they use the language typically, but I mean, as you can see, there's a specific example, very close by, just 12 houses down on the same side.
And others.
Yeah, and also I believe across the street from that as well.
And I guess we should just clarify for the record, the staff report actually in the final sentence, there's a bit of a typo. It said they said the applicant was informed that should the plans be revised to reduce the depth of the second story to 11 meters, I think they meant the third story.
Yeah.
Because you're not changing the second story. So
yeah, absolutely. And he elaborated to me as well.
I would note, Mr. Clark, that this is the same planner that provided a letter on the Ms. Cover's application.
Okay.
So, if no one has a question, I'm ready to put forward a motion on this application. I disagree with the planning report. I don't think that this is changing the streetscape or inappropriate for the neighborhood. A thorough review of the variances confirms for me in this discussion that they're minor and I think fit and appropriate for the neighborhood. And my recommendation is that we approve this application.
Okay, I would be prepared to second that. I'm just wondering if it's appropriate to make it in the substantial accordance with the plan so they don't take the approval and do something different as a friendly amendment. And just point out that it's a modest addition. Without it, they couldn't have a master bedroom.
That's correct.
I don't think there's a need to pull back the third floor to 11 meters, which is actually less than is permitted at 14.
So I accept that amendment then to tie the plan.
So is that?
Which plan, Mr. Nipfel?
I would tie it to two. I would tie it to A303, which is the third floor floor plan, and A306, which is the elevation. And I'd just like to add that one of the objectors talked about the front elevations is going to alter the character of the street. I think the applicant's gone to some pains to try and have this actually comply with the character of the street, and I think his attempts have been very successful.
I just wanted to also note, looking at the third floor rear elevation, it doesn't look like the either neighbors would be impacted in any event because they don't have windows on the third floor at the rear anyway, so it's not like they're blocking, the addition's going to block.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir.
Thank you very much.
Number 10, 125 Humberside Avenue. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing three-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a side yard addition and a third floor rear addition and rear yard terrace. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant and a report from forestry. Does anybody have any questions? This seems to be relatively minor. Could you tell us what the existing floor space index is? Oh, pardon me. You're Jeffrey Moot?
Jeffrey Moot.
Thank you.
1.04 to answer your question.
1.04.
So we're
very minor.
9 square meters total.
Okay. Thank you for that. Perhaps we could have a motion in that case.
This is very minor. We've reviewed it already, and I'd like to put forward a motion to approve the application, tying it to urban forestry condition number 1.
Thank you very much.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. Number 11, 90 Manning Avenue. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2.5-story townhouse by constructing a rear third-story addition with a rear third-story deck. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant, a report from planning, 4 form letters in support and opposition from 65A Claremont Street. Your name?
My name is Anna Voinescos, and I'm the agent.
Yes.
Hold the microphone a little closer.
Short. Thank you. I'm representing the registered owner, Ms. Marukis, and we really are asking for a minor variance. The family is growing, the lady is expecting a baby, and they want the third floor. Basically, we're changing the roof shape in order to make a family room. And if I can show you. The footprint of the house remains the same. Exactly the front we don't change at all, but the roof, instead of being sloped, it becomes flat at the back, and the deck is on top of an existing roof. And the area below the flat roof becomes the family room with a washroom. And basically, that's the existing is the triangular shape with an existing dormer window, and then the rear becomes the new hatched area. And that requires a minor variance for the area.
Where's the front of the house?
The front of the house is to my right. That's Manning. We don't change anything on that side.
You have an upstairs deck or a second-story deck in the front.
The front is existing sloped roofs. Actually, I can show you a picture of the house. It's a semi-detached. That's the house to the left, it remains as it is. And from the ridge of the main roof, we make a flat roof at the back. It's existing.
It's existing.
And it's already a little over by 0.10. And the height variance is, we have to slope the flat roof a little bit, so we go another 4 inches higher in order to drain to the front instead, because it's very, very tight. You don't have where to drain.
Okay. Can you tell us what the existing gross floor area you're seeking to go from 1 times permitted to 1.48, but I suspect you may already be over?
It's 1.6 now.
1.06?
That's under the
No, 1.
bylaw?
Under the new bylaw.
Pardon? Oh, 1.
Under 569, 2013.
Yes.
Yeah, you're seeking to go to
They-
1.68 and 1.48 under the old bylaw. But what is the house currently?
It's 1.
You're already at 1.6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Planning department is requesting that we tie the decision to this plan to limit the depth of the third floor to 8.26 meters.
And that's what we have there.
Where does it say, none of us can find it? Is there an 8 point?
We don't have the overall, but we add here. No, it's from the sloped area. You see to the right, no, further back. Sorry. From here, you see where this is a hatched area? This whole area is unlivable. It's below 4.6 headroom. So from here to there is the 26 feet that the planner is asking. From the front to the very back, we are less than the permitted 17-meter depth.
But this is new, right?
No, it's all existing.
Well,
It's existing.
It's added to the third floor or not?
It's an existing, very, very sloped window, basically.
Yeah.
It's a dormer. Do you see that dormer right above that's what it looks like.
I'm just trying to make sense of the planning department's recommendation, and now I'm really confused. They say the third floor proposed dwelling will have a maximum building depth of 8.26 meters, exclusive of the rear deck. If you interpreted that on this plan, yeah, we have to, you're going to end up with a decision that isn't going to help you. So we need to see the 8.26.
Okay.
Can you go back to the floor plan again? So you said that 8.26 is from here to here?
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to ask the question then. We need that shown on the drawing.
It actually, the dimensions are in the middle of the drawing. Do you see them? That's one dimension.
You have to then add this and this.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's confusing. Why don't we just tie it to the plans without
That's what I was
mentioning the
saying, yeah.
8.26?
Could do that.
That's probably better approach, yeah. There's also a recommendation for permanent opaque screening around the deck. Do you have
Yes. No, we don't have a problem. In fact, we like to have that.
Any further questions? Do we have a motion? Mr. Nepfeld?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I think that this development is appropriate for the area, and I think that it does, the variances meet the test for variances. So I'd like to move approval of the application, subject to the third floor of the proposed dwelling being built substantially in accordance with the third floor plan. I want to get the number. Pardon me. A5 as submitted to the Committee of Adjustment on December the 28th, 2017, and also the provision of permanent opaque screening or fencing along the north and south edges of the third-story deck to a minimum height of 1.5 meters. And I don't think there are other, it's just subject to those two conditions.
Seconder?
Second it.
All right, all in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Number 12, 148 Glenhill Avenue. Purpose of the application to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by enclosing the existing front porch. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant. Are you Kevin Jarvis?
Yes.
All right. Does anybody have any questions?
There's no question. A very straightforward application to close the front porch. It's extremely minor. The variance is extremely minor. So I'll move approval with no conditions.
Seconder?
I agree. I think it's fit and appropriate for the neighborhood as well.
Thank you. You seconded?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you. Number 13, 159 Woodville Avenue. Purpose of this application is to construct a pool and cabana in the existing rear yard. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant, a report from Urban Forestry, and support.
No, it's been withdrawn.
Oh,
Urban Forestry has been withdrawn.
Okay, withdrawn, and 3 form letters in support. Your name, sir?
Scott McQuaig, I'm the agent.
Again, Mr. Chair, extremely minor application. If there's none of the other committee members have any questions, I'm prepared to move approval, and I just note we have neighbors in support, very minor, and I hope the neighbors in support get to use the pool. So I'll move approval.
I'll second it. I agree with the comments.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir.
Thanks very much.
Number 14, 38 Greensides Avenue. Purpose of the application is to alter the existing 2-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear second-story addition. And before us, we have material submitted by the applicant and a report from planning. Your name, sir?
My name is Dermot Sweeney.
Right.
The architect and agent.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I just want to ask Mr. Sweeney about this recommendation from community planning. It seems rather vague. You're deficient in front rear yard landscaping. I know green sides well. It says all surfaces on the site should be permeable and high albedo material, whatever that means. And the shade tree should be planted in the rear yard. So they want your rear landscape to be subject to satisfaction of the community planning. Are you okay with that?
We're fine. We have not spent any time on designing it yet, so we contacted them.
Right.
And we're fine with that.
Right. They're prepared to give you your deficiency at 11 point whatever. 11.9. Soft landscaping, and they just want to impose that condition.
No trouble with it.
If you're okay with that, and committee members have no further questions, I would move approval, subject to the planning condition that the site should be landscaped to the satisfaction of Director of Community Planning.
Seconder?
I'm going to second the motion. I agree this is a minor application.
All in favor? Have your approval, sir.
Thank you very much.
Number 15, 86 Chiltern Hill Road. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing dwelling by constructing a one-story addition and two-story rear addition and new rear deck. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant, a staff report from forestry, and 9 form letters in support. Your name, please?
Dominika Kopiaza-Sitko. I'm designer and agent.
Yes. So are there any questions?
Again, it looks like we have some existing conditions here. It's extremely minor. You look in terms of what you're looking to do. You did your homework, have 9 letters of support from immediate neighbors, and I would move approval of the application with subject to urban forestry condition number 1.
All in favor? Have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 16, 17 Ellsworth Avenue. Purpose of this application is to construct a new rear deck and rear detached garage. We have material submitted by the applicant and 5 form letters in support.
Good morning.
Sir.
Richard D. Oliveira, here representing the owners of 17 Ellsworth.
So, is there an existing garage?
There is. It's about half the size of the current proposal. Our clients are looking to expand the garage to the full width of the property in line with that of others on the same street.
And your garage is the same setback as the other garages?
Correct. It would be in line. Yep.
Okay. Any further questions?
When you say setback, you're talking about from the rear lot line? Because these front onto another street as well, right?
Correct, yes.
That's how I
It acts as both a laneway and a street.
Okay. You're not any closer than, I didn't think so.
No, in line with the entire side of the street.
Does anybody have any other questions? No? Okay. My only concern was with the setback, but you've confirmed what I already thought was the case. So in light of that, I think that I'd like to bring a motion forward for approval. This, in my view, meets the 4 tests, and it's in keeping with what's already established in terms of the garage setbacks on the street.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you. Number 17, 18 Luty Avenue. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear ground floor addition. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant, 9 form letters in support, plus an extra form letter in support, and concern from 34 Luty Avenue. Your name, sir?
My name is Bern Paisler, and I'm representing 18 Luty.
Yes.
So basically, in a nutshell, we're increasing the floor area to 0.98, but the existing building is already at 0.93. The eave setback is already existing, so we're just basically extending that back.
Okay.
That's about it.
Any further questions?
Mr. Chair, if there's no further questions from other committee members, this is a very minor application for a 1-story ground floor addition, very minor to the existing floor space index of 0.05 addition. So I'll move approval with no conditions.
All in favor? Have your approval, sir.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Netfeld will recuse himself on number 18. 408 Roxton Road. The purpose of this application is to convert the existing 2.5-story semi-detached multi-residential unit dwelling to a single-family dwelling and to construct a 2-story rear addition. Before us, we have material submitted by the applicant. What is the existing floor space index, Ms. Wong? You are Ms. Wong?
Yes, Vanessa Fong, agent for the owner. The current floor space index is 1.26. It's illegal non-conforming, and we'd be asking for an additional 30 square feet to make it 1.28.
I think we're ready to make a motion.
Move approval.
Second. All in favor? You have your approval.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Carl.
Number 19, 163 Fern Avenue, to alter the existing two-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a two-story rear addition. Before us, we have materials submitted by the applicant. Your name, sir?
Ian Cunha, representing the owners of 163 Fern Avenue.
Okay, again, this looks relatively minor. Well, it's only 0.03 over the
5
floor
meters.
space index. Yeah.
5 meters.
5 meters. So I don't think we have any
If
questions.
no questions and Mr. Cunha doesn't have anything to add, I'll prepare to move approval of this application with no conditions.
All in favor? Second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Number 20, 40 Foxley Street. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing two-story townhouse by constructing a rear two-story addition and a new detached garage in the rear yard. We have before us materials submitted by the applicant, a report from forestry, and support from 40.5 Foxley Street. I assume that's the adjacent property?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And you are?
I'm Michael Velikovic, agent.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have
question? I noticed
questions?
there's an order to remedy unsafe building. Is
That's
this
correct, yes. That was
The reason why you, well, maybe you can explain.
that's exactly why we're renovating. It was as a result of the order to remedy. The neighbor at 38 was renovating their property and undermined our foundation, so there's considerable damage right there, right now.
So it was as a result of the neighbor,
At 38 on the other side, that's
Okay.
correct. And we're hoping to mitigate any damage, further damage.
and you're increasing the size at the same time.
Yes, yes.
Are there any further questions? Do we have a motion?
So what's the depth?
Yeah, we have no communication from city departments other than urban forestry condition number 1 is being requested of you. You're aware of that. So I'm prepared to move approval of the application subject to the urban forestry condition. And that's my motion. No other conditions.
All in favor? Have your approval, sir. Number 21, 304 Foreman Avenue. The purpose of this application is to alter the existing semi-detached dwelling by enclosing a portion of the existing front porch. We have materials submitted by the applicant, 2 form letters in support. Are there any, your name, sir?
Paul Struther.
Right. Yeah, are there any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Chairman, I think this redefines the word minor. I'd like to move approval of the application. It's extremely minor and clearly meets the test for variance.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Number 22, 48 Hoyle Avenue. Purpose of this application is to alter 1-story detached dwelling by enclosing the front porch. We have materials submitted by the applicant. Your name?
Sandy Forsyth, agent for the applicant.
Right. And 1 variance. Any questions?
No questions.
Do we have a motion?
This is extremely minor and fit and appropriate for the neighborhood, and I move we approve the application.
Seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 23, 254 Beatrice Street. Purpose of this application is to construct a new detached garage in the rear yard. We have before us material submitted by the applicant and correspondence from planning and traffic transportation services. So this garage is going to have a floor area in excess of the bylaw. Do we have any questions of this applicant? You're Mr. Kuna?
Yes.
Again?
Thank you.
I'm ready to bring a motion,
all right.
if nobody else wants to have.
Yeah.
Okay, so my motion's for approval. This is extremely minor, and I just note the garage meets all the setbacks. It's just a slight variance for floor area. So motion for approval.
All in favor? Have your approval, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, 2 held items.
Okay, so now we go back to number 6, 100 Hilton Avenue.
The neighbors with concerns, please come and sit at the table down at the end there, left-hand side of the...
Is there still opposition?
Good morning.
Is there still opposition?
No, we've worked it out.
Oh.
Okay, but come forward just so we can confirm it. All right, the purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear 2-story addition. Previous Committee of Adjustment decision permitted the construction of a rear 1-story with a rear ground floor deck and a rear shed. We have before us material submitted by the applicant, a report from Forestry, and opposition from 98 and 121 Hilton Avenue. Your name, sir?
My name is Graham Barrett. I'm the agent for the owners. As you said, we were here for a committee last year to approve a 1-story addition. Since then, the owners have become aware of a need to remove, there's this a central portion at the back of the house.
What did you say? To renew or
that portion of the home, which is 2 stories, would have to be removed to build the 1-story that was approved at committee. So rather than removing that and making it 1-story, they'd like to square off the back and have a portion of the 2nd story extend out as well. So I can show you a floor plan if you'd like. Being extended out of these 2 points. I'm not sure if you can see that. Just being squared off. Essentially. So we were previously approved for a floor space index of 0.74 times the area of the lot. We're now requesting 0.77. It's a difference of about 10 square meters. Existing is legal non-conforming at 0.636. There are quite a few other similar examples in the neighborhood. And the only other new variance pertains to the roof eaves for the new portion. This addition was designed with the roof eaves in line with the existing, but we've received a letter from the neighbors and had a conversation outside, and I've spoken with the architect as well, and we're able to eliminate this variance altogether and still accommodate eaves and proper drainage. So we would like to eliminate variance number 1. It was just originally intended to maintain the same design aesthetic of the home, but it's not essential to the project at all, and hopefully this alleviates everybody's concerns. I've read the other letter of concern from the other neighbor, and I sympathize, but really it's essentially, unfortunately, construction's a fact of life in the city, and not much I can say about that. So it's really
outside our mandate anyhow.
Right. So it's really just a minor modification to what was previously approved, and it still passes the 4 tests, we feel, and we've worked it out with the neighbor as well. So thanks for your time.
If anyone has any further questions,
perhaps we might just hear from the neighbor.
Right.
Would you come to the podium, sir? Just give us your name, your address.
He was concerned with the variance being removed. So.
Name is Philip Marks. I live at 98 Hilton.
Yeah, and you're satisfied?
Yeah, we resolved our
deletion of variance
issue
number 1
before the hearing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we have a motion?
Okay, based on Mr. Barrett's presentation, I believe this is minor. We're with elimination of the first variance, addressing the neighbor's concern. I'll move approval of the two remaining variances, which is a very minor increase in the floor space index to 0.77.
Seconder?
And there's forestry condition number 1.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir.
Thank you very much.
And now we go to 24. '24 is 290 Delaware Avenue. Is there opposition?
There was not with any of the variances, though. I spoke with him, and he is fine, so we left.
Okay. He left? Okay. This is an application to alter the existing 3-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear second-story addition and a rear third-story deck.
Correct.
Before us, we have materials submitted by the applicant and support from 285 Delaware Avenue and two other form letters in support.
I received one more, but it was beyond the deadline. I don't know if you wanted or not.
You could provide it to us.
Sure.
Probably not going to make much difference, but we should have it for the record.
Sir, can we get your name again?
My name is Mark Friesner. I'm
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Letter of support from 264 Delaware Avenue. Thank you. This is relatively minor. Are there any questions?
Mr. Chair, if no one has any questions on this, I'm prepared to move approval of the application. We have 2 letters of support. It seems minor, and no one's in opposition. Move approval.
Seconder?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We stand adjourned.
Okay, no, we don't stand adjourned. We have
we have the request
other
for
business.
Yeah.
That completes the list, but we have a request for a deferral.
To refund.
Refund, pardon me. Okay, so the request is, due to the fact that there was a deferral in this matter, was based on a mistake the zoning examiner made either in typo or interpretation. We applied for proper ZZC and should be able to request a variance as the examiner lists on that document, and they're asking for $112 refund. And that's submitted by the architect. So we've discussed this already, but if anybody has anything.
47, the address is 47 Wembley Road?
Yes.
No one's here to speak on this?
Mr. Chairman, my understanding is that there was a mistake made by the city, but it wasn't by Committee of Adjustment staff. And by approving the request for the refund of $112 from the Committee of Adjustment budget, we're acknowledging that this was a Committee of Adjustment error, which it wasn't. So I would not recommend this particular request. I would direct the applicant to seek some kind of satisfaction from the zoning department, but I don't want to send the wrong message. This was not the result of a Committee of Adjustment error, and therefore I don't believe we should be refunding the fee that was not the Committee of Adjustment's fault in the first place.
That's a motion?
Yes, my motion is to refuse the...
Do we have a seconder for the motion?
I'm going to second your motion.
All right, all in favor?
I'm opposed because I think even though it's only $112 to start with, it's for the recirculation of the notice. But whether it's C of A staff or city staff, it wasn't the applicant's fault. And aside from the hardship, I think we got it back pretty quickly on the agenda. That to me is more of a hardship than $112. But if it was not the applicant's error,
It's clear. I think my issue is it's not entirely clear whose error it was, based on the correspondence we have back and forth. And, you know, the applicant has an obligation to make sure the variances that are requesting are accurate, so, anyway.
I mean, I agree, but I also think the public sees the city as one unit.
Yeah.
They don't see different departments as different budgets, and, you know, in this case, I think there's some grounds to believe that planning
It
staff
looks
made
like
an error.
Mr. Grandenstein, as chair, has to break a tie here.
Do we have a motion forward, Michael?
Well, there's a motion, it's been seconded, and it's on the table, and we need a third person to, if Mr. Grandenstein supports the motion, it passes. If not, we need a new motion.
So the motion on the table is for
Yes.
refusal? I thought you were bringing
Yes,
another one
motions
forward.
for refusal. I agree with.
Seconded.
I agree with Mr. Clark and Mr. Bednar that the city is, in the public's eye, is one unit, and this thing had to be deferred because of an error somewhere. And
You bringing that motion?
it may very well be that the applicant didn't check as carefully as she should have, but we have no way of knowing exactly where the error arose. But having regard to the fact it's $112 and there was a necessity for a deferral, I'm opposed to denial of the refund.
Okay, so we need a new motion. I'll make a new motion to provide the $112 refund. It's not going to break the city's budget.
I'll second that motion.
Would you consider a friendly amendment, just a clarification that our understanding is that the error was not the result of community adjustment? Because I think that as much as it isn't clear where the error
Right.
was, it is clear that it wasn't the result of community adjustment.
Right, it was the city planning staff as opposed to.
Yeah, and I don't want the motion
Yes.
to be a negative reflection.
Okay, so we can make a clarification that due to the fact that this was a city planning error, not a committee of adjustment, we feel that the Toronto building, the building department, okay.
So can we make a friendly amendment? And I don't know whether this is possible.
Sure, and I'll second the motion.
No, just a minute. I got a friendly, well, I can't make an amendment.
You're the chair.
So just for the record.
For the record, I would recommend to the Deputy Secretary Treasurer that if this motion passes, that she take this motion and go to the zoning and ask for reimbursement.
Okay. So all in favor then?
I'm opposed to the motion for the refund no matter what happens, so that's fine.
So it's a,
yes.
Okay.
I voted for, yeah.
Fantastic, and we stand adjourned, I suppose, at 10:37.
Mike's off.
So